friends and
afternoon.
colleagues. How are we doing?
Awesome.
That kind of reception. The morning group had to kind of get the hype up.
Give
You
me
guys
coffee.
brought it. From the minute you guys walked in, you guys brought it. Welcome to the preview of the new V12 flagship, the 12 Cilindri. Try saying that 3 times fast. My name is Emil Beret. It's my pleasure to be here today with you guys to present the car to you. Now, I know, believe me, quite well that you're not here to listen to me talk, so I promise you I will be brief. There are 3 key elements about the car that I want to discuss, however: the car's performance, its newfound focus on comfort, and also its design, after which I'm going to invite you guys to kind of move over towards your right so you have a better view of the screen. We have a very quick presentation, sort of a visual deal for you guys to check out. And then we're going to pull the covers off the car, and I'll invite you to climb in and out of it. Please ask any questions you might have. That's how I keep my sham job, by answering those questions. And yeah, we'll explore the car for a few minutes, and then you can be on your way. So, the new V12 flagship, as I said before, 12 Cilindri. The focus was to sort of create this car out of the purest essence, or the purest Ferrari DNA. Let's put it that way. Hence the car's name, 12 Cilindri, which means 12 cylinders, as you guys know. The purest expression of Ferrari DNA is that naturally aspirated V12. In 1947, when Enzo Ferrari first put his name on a car, the 125S, that car was powered by naturally aspirated V12. Since then, we've made 4, 6, and 8-cylinder engines as well, but really the hallmark of Ferrari remains the V12. So let's start by talking about the engine. It's derived from the V12 in the 812 Competizione, a car I know some of you are familiar with. In this application, it makes 820 horsepower and revs to 9,500 RPM.
Woo!
That is a 6.5 liter, a big V12 revving to 9,500 RPM. Pretty impressive. Now, lest you think it's all about RPM and horsepower, there is a great torque story to tell here as well. The engine makes 500 pound-feet of torque, fully 80% of which is available from 2,500 RPM up. So yes, it revs to the moon, but it also has a ton of torque. What that means to you is that any gear, any speed, you have power. Now, a lot of technology in that engine, one that I want to point out, which allows sort of that torque spread, is the aspirated torque shaping system. It's basically our programmable torque delivery system. It means that this engine meets all 3 of the directives that Enzo Ferrari set out back in 1947 for any Ferrari engine. Those 3 things is that firstly, it must make a pure Ferrari sound. It's a naturally aspirated V12. It's gonna make the noise, trust me. Secondly, he wanted every Ferrari engine to have instantaneous throttle response. Something that's a challenge for turbocharged cars sometimes, not so for naturally aspirated V12 especially. And lastly, where the aspirated torque shaping comes into effect is that he wanted every Ferrari engine to race to the red line. That is, as the needle gets closer and closer to the red line, it should be accelerating. And this programmable torque delivery allows us to achieve that. It does the numbers as you would expect. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, 62 miles an hour by our measure here in the US, 2.9 seconds. 0 to 200 kilometers an hour, 124 miles an hour by our measure, 7.9 seconds, and a top speed of over 211 miles an hour. So it does the business as we would all expect. Now, moving on to talk about a bit the interior, the comfort, this new focus on comfort. First time in a V12 flagship car, we now have a glass roof panel. And any of you that have experienced a GTC4 Lusso or maybe the new Puro Sangue with that glass panel, you know that gives you this sort of open, airy feeling to the cabin. And that was the aim. The aim was to create an interior that seemed vast, very, very open and very airy. And that certainly helps a ton. Now, the dashboard design flows right into the door cards or the door paneling design, again, to try to evoke this feeling of wide open space. There are 3 screens in the car, 1 each for the driver and the passenger, and a central screen, which is the first for a flagship V12 as well, which can be turned off completely, in which case it goes completely dark. The feeling is that it sort of blends into the architecture of the interior, again, sort of conveying these feelings of expansive spaces. You can be the judge of that once you climb inside the car. You can judge for yourself how much more spacious it might be than the 812 Superfast and GTS. Now, let's talk a little bit about the car's design. This is something that's near and dear to my heart as a former car designer. The aim with this car, firstly, was to arrive at a design that was elegant and sporty. Those 2 things can sometimes be at odds with one another, and also futuristic. It is a car that uniquely looks back on our history as some of the iconic Ferrari designs, which I'll talk about here in a moment, but it does so while also projecting into the future. And this is what I mean by that. Some of the cars that this harkens back to, the 512 Berlinetta Speciale, a 1969 show car by Pininfarina that is one of the icons of wedge 1970s design, I will say. The other car, the 512S Modulo, another icon of 1970s wedge design cars. It didn't only look at concepts, however, it also took some influence from the 365 GTB4, the car we all know as the Daytona. In fact, if you saw this car at Miami, or maybe you've just seen the photos of it, actually even just looking at it here under the silk, you can see a lot of Daytona in the nose. But where the designers took some inspiration from the past and projected it into the future, this is a good example of it. The visor effect that you have in the Daytona, which clearly they adopted here, they say yes, it was inspired by the Daytona, but the real influence came from the visor of an astronaut's helmet. So again, something from the past reinterpreted in a futuristic way. Moving towards the middle of the car, the dual tone roof. It's now glass and body color, and you'll see that the graphic it creates in these dual tones is a delta shape, which is supposed to convey a feeling of sort of direction, a car moving forward. That delta shape is mimicked once again in the rear screen, where the glass sort of seems to melt and pour into the sides, the fenders. Those are actually the active aero elements, but again, it creates this delta shape, which subconsciously makes us think of forward motion. So these various elements combined, the performance on offer now, the extra comfort on offer, and the design all culminate in this, the new V12 flagship. Say it with me now, the 12 Cilindri.
12
Cilindri. Well
Cilindri.
done. Enjoy the video.
Cilindri.
Check it out, guys.
What did you think, Shiv?
Not bad at all.
Nice.
definition in English is very different.